Have you ever stood in the grocery store, looked at 2 bottles of cooking oil, and wondered, am I about to make the wrong choice? One expert says seed oils are toxic. Another says beef tallow raises cholesterol. Someone else tells you just use olive oil. Then another expert completely disagrees. If you've ever felt confused, you're not alone. But I don't think confusion is the real problem. I think we've been asking the wrong question. A while back, I made a video called I Was Wrong About Seed Oils. That video was about where I landed after spending more time studying the evidence. Today's video is different. Today, I want to pull back the curtain and show you how I think whenever a controversial nutrition headline appears. Because if you learn the process, it won't just help you with seed oils. It will help you think through almost every health controversy you encounter. And I think that's far more valuable than simply memorizing my opinion. The reason this conversation is back in the news is that the Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., encouraged restaurants to consider using beef tallow instead of seed oils. The headlines came quickly. Cardiologists responded. Social media exploded. And millions of people were left wondering, who's right? Whenever I see something like this, I don't rush to pick a side. I slow the conversation down. Because over the years, I've noticed that whenever a patient asks me about a controversial nutrition topic, I almost always find myself asking the same 4 questions. Not because they guarantee the perfect answer, they don't, but they dramatically reduce the chances of reaching the wrong one. So today, I'd like to walk you through those same questions, not as a debate, not to convince you to join one camp or another, but to help you become the kind of person who doesn't get confused every time a new nutrition headline appears. Question number 1, what is it replacing? Question number 2, what kind of evidence am I looking at? Question number 3, am I judging one nutrient or an entire food? And question number 4, does this fit everything else we know about metabolic health? Those questions have served me well in clinic. Let's start with the first one, because I think it's the most important. What is it replacing? I remember a patient who came to me convinced that seed oils were the reason he couldn't lose weight. As we talked, I learned he was sleeping about 5 hours a night. He stopped for a sugary coffee almost every morning. Most lunches came from a drive-thru. Exercise had become an occasional thought instead of a regular habit. Seed oils weren't the first domino. They probably weren't even the top 5. So instead of chasing one ingredient, we worked on the bigger rocks. Better sleep, more home-cooked meals, more protein, daily walks, less ultra-processed food. Over the next several months, his weight started coming down. His energy improved. His blood sugar improved. And the lesson wasn't that one bottle of oil changed his life. The lesson was that improving the overall pattern mattered far more than winning an argument about one ingredient. That's why I always ask, what is this replacing? Because replacing soda with water isn't the same as replacing water with soda. Replacing cookies with eggs isn't the same as replacing eggs with cookies. And replacing a diet built around ultra-processed foods with one built around real, minimally processed foods is a very different conversation than comparing 2 cooking fats in isolation. Sometimes we become so focused on one ingredient that we lose sight of the entire meal. And sometimes we become so focused on the meal that we forget the lifestyle surrounding it. The longer I practice medicine, the more convinced I become that context changes almost everything. So before we argue about what's in the bottle, let's make sure we're asking the right question first. What is it replacing? Now let's slow this down. Question number 2. What kind of evidence am I looking at? This may be one of the biggest reasons nutrition feels confusing. Sometimes you'll hear someone confidently say, science proves seed oils are harmful. A few minutes later, someone else confidently says, science proves they're beneficial. How can that happen? Because they may not be asking about the same science. Some studies are done in cells. Some are done in animals. Some follow thousands of people for years. Others randomly assign people to different diets and compare the results. Every one of these studies teaches us something, but none of them answers every question. That's why I get nervous whenever someone says, one study proved it. Medicine rarely works that way. The strongest conclusions usually come from looking at the totality of the evidence, not just the study that agrees with our favorite opinion. That's another habit I've developed over the years. I don't ask, what does this one study say? I ask, what story is the entire body of evidence telling? Those are very different questions, and they often lead to better decisions. Here's something else I've noticed. When experts disagree, it's often because they're answering different questions. One researcher might ask, what happens to LDL cholesterol? Another asks, what happens to ApoB? Another asks, what happens to inflammation? Another asks, what happens when people replace ultra-processed foods with home-cooked meals? They're all asking reasonable questions. They're just not asking the same question. And that's one of the biggest lessons I hope you take from today's video. The problem usually isn't that one side is asking bad questions. The problem is that the different experts are asking different questions. Once you understand that, the conversation becomes much less confusing. That brings us to question number 3. Am I judging one nutrient or an entire food? Think about heart disease for a moment. It's tempting to believe there's one cause, one villain, one answer. But after taking care of patients for decades, I've learned that's almost never how biology works. Heart disease is more like this puzzle. Blood sugar matters, blood pressure matters, ApoB matters, smoking matters, exercise matters, sleep matters, visceral fat matters, stress matters, even genetics matter. No single piece tells the whole story. The picture only becomes clear when you put the pieces together. That's why I become cautious whenever someone says, this one ingredient explains everything. Rather, that ingredient is sugar, seed oils, saturated fat, or anything else. Biology is wonderfully complex, and our explanations should respect that complexity. Here's another example. Imagine someone cooking salmon, vegetables, and a salad at home. Now imagine someone eating fries, a sugary drink, and a fast food burger. Both meals may contain oil. But are they really the same? Of course not. The food matters. The cooking method matters. The environment matters. Even the person eating it matters. A homemade meal prepared with care is a completely different situation than a highly processed meal eaten on the run. That's why reducing the conversation to one ingredient often misses the bigger picture. Every few years, nutrition finds a new villain. Eggs, butter, fat, carbohydrates, red meat, now seed oils. Sometimes those conversations move science forward. Sometimes they swing too far. That's why I try very hard not to build my practice or my patient's health around the latest headline. Instead, I try to build them around principles that have stood the test of time. Eat more real food, moving your body, sleeping well, managing stress, maintaining healthy relationships, building muscle. Those principles were important before the seed oil debate, they're important during the debate, and they'll still be important long after this debate fades. So before we decide whether one cooking fat belongs in our kitchen, let's slow the conversation down. Let's make sure we're asking the right questions first, because better questions almost always lead to better decisions. So, after everything we've talked about, you may be still wondering, okay, Dr. Hampton, what do you actually do? Here's my answer. I don't build my health or my patient's health around one ingredient. I build it around patterns. Patterns that have consistently been associated with better metabolic health. Eating more real food. Preparing more meals at home. Getting enough high-quality protein. Building and maintaining muscle. Moving your body every day, sleeping well, managing stress, investing in healthy relationships. Those habits have far more influence on your long-term health than obsessing over a single cooking fat. If you enjoy cooking with extra virgin olive oil, that's a reasonable choice. If you occasionally cook with beef tallow, that's also a reasonable choice. If avocado oil works well for your family, that's reasonable too. The point isn't that everyone must use the same fat. The point is that no cooking oil can rescue an unhealthy lifestyle. And no single cooking oil is likely to destroy an otherwise healthy one. Context matters, always. So the next time you hear a bold nutrition headline, and trust me, there will be another one, don't rush to social media. Don't panic. Don't assume the loudest voice is the wisest voice. Instead, slow the conversation down. Ask yourself, what is it replacing? What kind of evidence am I looking at? Am I judging one nutrient or the entire food pattern? Does this fit everything else we know about metabolic health? Those 4 questions won't answer every controversy, but they'll help you think more clearly. And sometimes, thinking more clearly is the healthiest thing you can do. So, you remember this bottle when we started? It looked like the start of the conversation. It turns out it never really was. The real story was learning how to ask better questions, because the quality of your health decisions depends on the quality of the questions you ask. And the goal isn't to know every answer. The goal is to become the kind of person who doesn't get confused every time a new headline appears. One of the things I've learned after taking care of patients for many years is that medicine rewards curiosity. The patients who do the best aren't always the ones who know the most. They're the ones who keep learning. They're willing to change their minds when better evidence comes along. They're humble enough to ask questions and wise enough not to confuse confidence with certainty. I try to live that way too. It's why I made a video called I Was Wrong About Seed Oils. Not because I enjoy being wrong, but because I value getting closer to the truth. And sometimes getting closer to the truth means being willing to rethink what you believed yesterday. I hope you'll do the same. Because my goal has never been to tell you what to think. My goal is to help you think more clearly about your health. And when you understand the why, better decisions become much easier. And if this video helped you see the conversation differently, share it with someone who feels overwhelmed by all the conflicting nutrition advice online. And if you enjoyed this kind of evidence-based root cause approach to health, I'd love to have you join me for the next conversation. The irony of this video is that I'm a carnivore, and I basically don't eat plant-based oils. But I want you to make the decision that's best for you. I'll see you in the next video.